Episode 1. The episode opens on Gojo as an insecure but passionate Hina doll tailor, following in the steps of his grandfather, a long-time skilled Hina doll artist, while Gojo loves his hobby passionately. He isolates himself socially at school as he believes he will be made fun of for what he does. Having not made a single friend throughout his school years, his grandfather worries over him. One day in homeroom, a girl, while jumping around the classroom, hits herself in the head with Gojo's desk. She apologizes to him before reuniting with her friends. Gojo identifies her as Marin Kitagawa, an incredibly cheerful, friendly, and popular girl from his class, noting that she lives in a completely different world from him. After school, Gojo stays behind to tidy up his classroom. One of his classmates persuades Gojo to do his schoolwork, which Gojo accepts, wanting to help him. Kitagawa arrives and explains to him that he is being taken advantage of. She advises him to take care about himself more and to be aware of his own feelings. That night, while working on his antique sewing machine, Gojo reminisces over what Kitagawa told him. His machine stops working, prompting his grandfather to express his desire to buy a new one. While the new machine arrives, Gojo decides to use one present in his school the next day. He is discovered by Kitagawa, and instead of laughing at him for his Hina doll hobby and his sewing abilities, stunned, Gojo was relieved to have found someone who appreciates his craft. Suddenly, Kitagawa takes her clothes off and reveals to Gojo cosplay outfit of a video game character she had been working on. Gojo criticizes her outfit, pointing out its multiple flaws. Kitagawa, however, asks him if he may do her another outfit, explaining how much Shizuku-tan, the character, means to her. Gojo, despite not having done clothing for an actual person before, agrees to help her, promising to do his best, delighting Kitagawa. Episode 2. Wakana confesses to Marin that he's never heard of the dating sim Slippery Girls 2, so Marin gives him a rundown about the series. As Marin explains the series to Wakana, he's off-put by all of the mature details involved in the game's plot and mechanics. Internally, Wakana is at a loss as he's unable to comprehend what Marin is trying to elaborate to him. Figuring that this is just some joke of the sort, Wakana comes to realize that Marin is completely serious about the game's info. Back to Marin. She goes on to explain her fascination with the character she hopes to cosplay as Shizuku-tan. When Marin asks if Wakana understands her, Wakana internally responds that he doesn't have the slightest clue. He does come to realize that when Marin talks about something she likes, it looks like she's generally having fun. Once Marin's explanation is over, Wakana asks the question if the Slippery Girls 2 is an ero game. Marin confirms that it is, and Wakana then asks if the game is age-restricted. But to that question, Marin plays dumb. He next asks why she likes a game centered towards a male audience. But Marin claims that lots of females do and that gender doesn't matter if you really like something. The phrase Marin uses triggers a bad old memory from Wakana's past, and instead of being downtrodden by it, he agrees with Marin. To help Wakana with his project, Marin pulls out a beginner's guide to cosplaying outfit making. They refrain from starting anything like getting necessary supplies and measurements as it's getting late. At home, Wakana's grandfather Kaoru notes his surprise to see how early he's in bed and that he won't be opening the shop the next day to purchase a new sewing machine. Looking over the book again, Wakana is surprised by a certain thing that he found in the book. The following morning, Marin visits Wakana's place, and after giving him a cheesecake offering, she barges in and heads straight for Wakana's room. As Marin is interested in the brushes he uses for his dolls, Wakana suffers an anxiety attack because a girl is in his room. Regaining his composure, Marin snaps him out of his trance and asks if he wants to start working. Marin wants to start with the measurements. However, Wakana wants someone else to help her with that, as she'll need to be in her underpants for that. Thinking ahead, Marin reveals that she wore a two-piece bikini for the occasion. Still, however, Wakana is unnerved by Marin's appearance and is irked when she touches him. From there, Wakana motivates himself to measure Marin, but gets startled by her appearance. While she's turned around, Wakana asks her if she feels uncomfortable only wearing her swimsuit, to which she responds she's not and cares only for the cosplay costume. Slapping his face really hard with both of his hands, Wakana motivates himself to finally start the measurements. Once they're completed, Marin asks about the shoes she can wear, as most ones she tries to wear hurt her feet. To that point, Wakana surmises the circumference of her feet must be the problem and tries to get a chair to take her foot measurements. But Marin insists she sit on his futon instead. Despite protests against it, Wakana succumbs to Marin's whims and takes her measurements from there. The next thing that they measure is Marin's bust, which leads to an awkward moment for Wakana. Once that is complete, Marin suggests they measure her inseam and bust point. Again, Wakana flatly rejects doing it, and after another awkward moment for Wakana, Marin proposes that she'll do it herself. The results of the measurements have Wakana shocked out of his mind for no apparent reason, as he put it. Jotting down the last measurement, Wakana prepares to do the last measurement, and during it, Wakana notices that Marin is blushing and figures she's too hot, so he leaves to turn on the AC. Episode 3. Gojo having naughty dreams about Marin. Dreams that mean. When he meets her in the school corridor soon after, his head looks like it might explode, his face is so red. Marin's friends save him by arriving and asking her if she is being annoying to him. As she walks away, though, Goju hears two girls asking is she going out with him, then laughing and saying no, of course she isn't. This freaks Goju out so much, he spends the rest of the day avoiding Marin. Even when she asks him to go shopping with her, he declines and runs away. Crouching down a few blocks from the school, he apologizes to Marin out loud, only to find her standing next to him demanding to know why he is avoiding her. When he tries to avoid any interaction with her, you can't really blame Goju. After all, if you have been bullied your whole life, your brain would likely process others criticizing his friendship with Marin as a big threat to her and something that should immediately be stopped. So he mumbles, people were going to think they knew each other, so it's probably better if they are not together when other people are around. What is he even talking about? Says Marin. They are already friends, proving, yet again, what a wonderful person Marin is, as the people she cares about, even ones she has just met, are far more important to her than the opinions of outsiders. Goju then confesses he heard some people speculating he and Marin might be going out. Soon the pair are at the hobby shop picking out fabric for Marin's Shizuku-tan costume, and Goju shows her the sketches he has made for the dress. Marin is blown away, as she can't believe he has been so detailed about his dressmaking plans. It is then for the first time Goju realizes he is being useful to Marin, as she thanks him for not allowing her to make yet another cosplay mistake, and then it's time to buy underwear and a garter belt, and for Goju to be embarrassed yet again, followed by dinner at a ramen shop. And that was Goju's entire evening gone, having fun with Marin, and not even realizing it when they are walking home together. And Marin is showing him photos of the cosplay players she loves on the internet, and he confesses why he doesn't use the word beautiful very often. And she confesses she was surprised he played the Slippery Girls games, and that she was so happy he drew Shizuku-tan's outfit right down to the last detail. Episode 4, distraught over the fact that he has 2 weeks to complete the cosplay costume of Shizuku-tan, Wakana contemplates all of this as he takes the train home. At home, Kaoru greets his grandson and was pleased to hear that he was out doing some shopping with a friend. He, however, becomes irked and tips over one of the bags over, revealing that it has a pair of women's stockings in it, causing him to fall backward in shock. This event causes him to go to the hospital to be treated there, and while waiting in the waiting room, Wakana's cousin Minori arrives. Wakana informs her about their grandfather's condition and he soon joins them. Taking a seat, Mori offers Kaoru to stay at her place for the 2 weeks he needs to recover. Wakana echoes that suggestion, claiming it'd be best, which leaves him to watch over the shop. Kaoru accepts the offer, and when Wakana claims he'll bring him an extra pair of clothes the following day, Kaoru also requests his brushes too. A couple of days later, Wakana informs Marin why he didn't attend school the previous day was because of his grandfather's accident. Sad to hear about his grandfather's condition, Marin offers to help him out with cooking and stuff. Wakana declines the offer, however, so Marin suggests they exchange contact information as a way to stay in contact with one another. Tacitly, Wakana agrees, and after they do this, they walk down a hallway as Wakana thinks how he's been unable to start working on the costume. Marin then mentions that her hairstylist managed to cut the wig to the style that she wanted and that she'll give it to him later that day. They then stop by a bulletin board where it announces the upcoming midterms, which adds another wrinkle for Wakana's plans for the next 2 weeks. Snapped out of his trance by Marin, the two continue walking forward as Wakana notes the trouble he's in. That evening at home, Wakana receives a call from someone who wants a tour for herself and a friend visiting from France. Initially, Wakana refuses to do the tour on Saturday, but since the friend is only available that day, he cracks under the pressure and allows it. For some time, Wakana is caught in a bind trying to fulfill all of the obligations that he promised to do. At the end of the exams, Wakana, looking exhausted, bolts out of the classroom, completely ignoring Marin. That night she visits his home to give him a beef bowl present, but sees that the lights are all off and figures that he must be spending time with his grandfather. In reality, Wakana was in his room lamenting over his lack of sleep as of late and how he hasn't been able to complete the dress. Looking at his brushes, Wakana recalls a memory of when his grandfather told him why he takes his brushes with him on his trips. Wakana further laments on his pitiable brush skills and comes to think that even if you love something doesn't mean you'll be good at it. Getting depressed and emotional over his recent failures, he recalls another memory where his grandfather gives him mindful advice about regardless of how hard you work on something, as long as you love it, it's worth it. Recalling some of his fond memories with Marin, Wakana snaps out of his depression and continues working, and by morning, he texts Marin that he finished the costume. Afterward, Marin sees the finished product and is astounded by it, but claims that she didn't intend on attending the event that day despite Wakana's determination to finish it. Despondent over this revelation, Marin sincerely apologizes to Wakana for giving the wrong idea to him and not being clear with the details. Despite all of this, Wakana was actually relieved by all of this, but Marin cries and she believed he was visiting his grandfather and again apologizes for her mistakes. To lighten the mood, Wakana suggests that Marin try on the finished product and see if any adjustments need to be made. Despite her hesitancy to do so, Wakana convinces Marin to follow through with it. The first thing Wakana does is comb and tie Marin's hair into a bun. Next, they focus on the eyes. Spare fake eyelashes from Wakana's shop are used, and without hesitation, Marin shaves off her own eyelashes to better suit the cosplay. Makeup is then applied and Wakana leaves his room so Marin can get dressed in the costume. The end result is that Marin is elated that she looks so great in the costume and that she's able to be Shizuku-chan. And that is all for this video. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and turn on notifications for our next video. Take care.